Hi, it's Jenny, and I just did a 20-minute video that didn't record. Having some sound issues today. I did in my classes too. I think I fixed it, but now I have a class coming up not too long, so I'm going to try to plug through this, get through it as quick as I can. Today I said I was going to talk about potatoes. Oh, I really don't want to redo this video because it's kind of all over the place. In my research, potatoes were the most difficult thing to figure out how many carbs are in them. Let me tell you. In fact, I wonder if I even closed out the tabs. Shoot, for that some of the things I was looking at, I did. Okay, we're just going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, and I'm going to give you some of the numbers that I had already written down. All right, so there was a site online. I'm not even going to talk about that. Forget it. Let's just talk about the numbers that I have in front of me. And suffice it to say, I did a lot of research. I looked at 20 different sites and tried to get information from them. I tried to focus on the ones that were just geared towards diabetics because I figured it was medically necessary for them to be accurate in their reporting, as opposed to somebody who would report information on a diet site like this. Take whatever I say with a grain of salt. This is just for your own personal diet. You're in charge of your own health. Consult your doctor, your physician, yada, yada, yada. But when you're looking at a site for diabetics that are seriously need to control their insulin levels, I thought that that would be the one that I would go to and look at. Now, I pulled some information. Let's just look in general. Okay, let's go over basic information to begin with. Let's talk about the baked potato, will we? If you have a baked potato, let's talk about calories first. The interior portion, which they call the flesh, which I find confusing. To me, the flesh would be the skin, but the skin is the skin, and the flesh is the interior, which I would think of as like pulp. Anyway, so I will always say the insides at the same time I say flesh because to me that's confusing. All of a sudden my light got bright. Okay, so the potato skin on the exterior side has 115 calories in it, and the interior flesh part has 145 calories. So that is a 260 calorie vegetable, carb, vegetable, starch. But 115 calories are in the skin, 145 inside. All right, now let's look at carbohydrates. 27 carbohydrates in the skin, 34 carbohydrates in the flesh inside. Fiber, 5 grams of fiber in the skin, really good. 2 grams of fiber in the flesh inside. Protein, 3 grams both. All right. Then we have the potato is rich in micronutrients, mostly in the skin. So how much is in the skin, how much is in the flesh, I don't exactly know, but mostly in the skin you are going to find iron, fiber, vitamin C, vitamin B6, mostly in the skin. Okay, well, we do know that there's an equal amount of fiber in both, but they were just listing the micronutrients that you would find in the skin. So my overall philosophy after looking at this information is take the skin off. I mean, really, the skin itself doesn't taste that good. If you don't have some good potato with the skin by itself doesn't taste great. And every now and then, no matter how many times I wash it and clean it and then cook it, occasionally you get that one tiny little piece of grit that gets in your teeth that just is like nails on a chalkboard, and it like makes the hair on my head stand up when it like rubs between my teeth, and I'm like, oh, I just ate a piece of dirt. It's just like a real. So you don't run the risk of that happening. And if you remove the skin, if you're going to eat the potato, you're removing 115 calories and 27 grams of carbs. That is significant, people. Significant. Now, one of the reasons I did this research is also because I had a relative who told me that her stepdaughter was a diabetic, and that the doctor told them that all the carbs were in the skin, and therefore, as long as she removed the skin, that she could eat the potato. And I said, mind blown. I would have thought all the carbs were in the pulp, in the white, fleshy, yeah, fleshy flesh, flesh part of the potato, and that only nutrients and good stuff were in the skin, because I was always told growing up that all the vitamins and all the good stuff's in the skin. Make sure you eat the skin. And it is true that the majority of the micronutrients are in the skin, but I had no idea the number of carbs and calories that were in the skin. I would have thought that there were almost no calories in the skin, and that is not the case. All right. Now, when trying to look at information online, everyone uses a different measurement. One site will say a medium potato, one site will say a large potato, one site will say a potato of the diameter of 3, another one says a diameter up to the size of 4 1/4. Another site says a half a cup, another site says a cup. So you can't compare apples to apples on these sites. What blew my mind is within the same site they would do that. I would be on, what was it, Carb Counter or something, I think was the name of it, and they had it broken down to baked potatoes with the skin, baked potatoes without the skin, boiled potatoes with the skin, boiled potatoes without the skin. And I'm thinking, why are boiled potatoes without the skin significantly higher in carbs than boiled potatoes with the skin? Makes no sense until I looked at the fine print and I saw one was comparing a 4-inch potato and one was saying a half a cup. Well, how much is in a 4-inch potato? How much of a cup is that? Why within their own website would they not compare the same measurement of each one to help educate their people? People aren't going to look at the fine print. They're going to take a look at that. Well, I don't know. I suppose if it's your health. But in general, um, I would think that people, if they're looking at the site, are going to assume that the measurement portion sizes are going to be the same for everything. And you are now having somebody look at boiled potatoes without the skin being significantly higher than boiled potatoes with the skin. And that can't be true. And so they're going to eat them with the skin because they're going to think that it's a lot less carbs. No, it's just not right. It's just not right. Sorry. Sorry, people. On another site that I saw where it was comparing all of them apples to apples, they had boiled and baked and roasted and mashed all listed with the carb content. So I'm going to go from the lowest to the highest for you. And they have, well, let's start with the highest. The highest they say is mashed potatoes, and that had 87 carbs. The next highest was a roasted potato at 78 carbs. The next one was a baked potato at 69 carbs, and a boiled potato at 59 carbs, being the least. So the difference between that is 59 to 87. So preparation counts much more than I ever thought that it would. Now, the mashed potatoes was the highest. Let me just talk about that for a brief second. It was 87. I first saw that, I'm like, that makes sense. We're adding milk, other things that would be. But then I started thinking what those other things were. And, well, actually, no, I didn't. Okay, so I just thought, oh, yeah, milk, and then there's sugars in it, and there's carbohydrates in milk. All right, so you're adding more carbs to it, so no wonder it's the highest. Until in my deep dive research on another site, they were looking at them, and mashed potatoes, it said homemade mashed potatoes, and it had the carb count low. Of course, they didn't have the recipe for the mashed potatoes. They just said homemade. It was lower than the baked potato. So how can one be higher than the baked potato by 18? And on another site, it's actually lower than the baked potato. So my philosophy is, how are you actually preparing this potato? I'm thinking on the one site, they are using some form of milk that has very, very low carbs in it. I'm not a milk drinker, so I don't really pay attention to milk. We just have it in the house because the rest of the people in my family drink milk. And then I have it to prepare meals. We usually have a 1%, or I try to get them to have 2% because I want less sugar, but some people don't even like the taste of the 2%. They like the 1% for some reason. Anyway, so I should go look and see what the carb content is on that 1%. Sometimes we have both in the refrigerator, so I'll look and compare and kind of get some information. But I figured, and then I'm not sure about powdered milk either. Does powdered milk have a lot of sugars in it? Because I know all you do is add water to it to turn it into milk. So could that possibly be a way that you could have a lower carb count? I don't know. Um, So the type of milk you would put in it, and then how much of that and how much butter too. Maybe you can cut back significantly on how much milk you put in mashed potatoes and just add a lot more butter to it. Do it the Amish way. The Amish way probably has low carbs. They probably have a whole milk. I mean, how many carbs are in natural milk that comes from the cow? I mean, our processing is what's going to add a lot of carbs to it and sugars and things to make it taste good. All right, so we have to keep that in mind. One side actually says more, one side says less. How do you prepare your mashed potatoes? So think about it and make sure you look on your milk, the ingredient list of what you're adding. Because I believe when you make mashed potatoes, what I think I just add milk, butter, and salt. Okay, now let's talk about boiled potatoes being the absolute least. 59. At first I thought, why when you boil a potato does the carb count go down less than a baked potato? What's a baked potato? It's the potato. You just throw it in the microwave or throw it in the oven and then you eat it. So how could it have less if you boil it? And then I thought, how long has it been since you boiled a potato? A very long time, Jenny. Last time you boiled a potato, what did the water look like afterwards? Gross, like white, milky, some film sticks to the side of the container. It's the starches coming out. So on one hand, I'm very excited that there's a way that I can actually prepare a potato, which is one of my top 5 favorite foods in the world. Could almost be number 1. I'm not even sure. I have to really think about what are my favorite foods, but a potato might be number 1. That's how much I love potatoes. So there's a way, and I haven't had a potato. Well, no, I had a little cheat after when I started P3. I had potatoes one day. Other than that, it's been like 2 or 3 months and I haven't had a potato, even though they've been in my house, so I've been good. But I just love them. I could live on them. I could live on the potato diet. If somebody gave me a potato diet, I'd be a happy girl. All right. Roasted, higher than a baked potato. Roasted. You put it in a pan to roast. What do you do when you roast it? You add a little olive oil? Are there carbs in there? I don't know. How do you prepare your roasted potatoes? Why do you think it's significantly higher? I'm not sure about that. Anyway, all of this information was good food for thought. Just to kind of go, okay, are the carbs in the skin or are the carbs not in the skin? The carbs are in the skin, but they're also in the potato. Almost to an equal amount. A little bit less in the skin, but significantly, if you were to just peel that skin off that potato, you're going to save yourself a lot of calories and carbs. So for me, that's what I'm going to start doing in the future. I'm going to focus on my multivitamin and getting my macronutrients and micronutrients, I should say micronutrients, from other sources and not worry so much about getting them from what was I saying? I was just opening up my classroom and I got distracted because I don't want to be late. Did you hear the bell? That means my class is going to start soon. I'm going to not worry about getting my micronutrients from the skin of the potatoes. I can get my micronutrients other places. I'm going to make sure that I have a multivitamin that has a lot of micronutrients in it, and I'll eat other healthy vegetables and get it that way. That's what I'm doing. Tell me what information you found valuable or if this was just all over the place. And good luck to you too. May you be very successful on your journey. If you're a potatoaholic like me, I hope this provided at least a little bit of information so you can make some educated decisions in the future. albeit conflicting information out there on the internet, so I know that it's not a hard and fast rule for you, but we have a general overview now of the potato, our friend the potato. I love potatoes. All right, like and subscribe, please, and leave a comment and tell me how you like to prepare your potatoes, and if you can find a way to have a potato without a skin, that tastes very potatoey, but you add other stuff to it to get the carb content down, let me know, because that's something I'm going to start doing in P4. Take care. Bye.